Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another evening of Access Granted, the Pod Stream. Your boy, Mr. Antoine, is in the building. My sister is back.
I am back.
My sister is back.
Oh, with my maracas.
She was with her maracas. So this is what the deal was. So she's been learning from Lamar Jackson. So she wanted a new contract, and she sat out for 3 weeks while we negotiated. It was all about her guaranteed money. I gave her the guaranteed money that she wanted, and now she's back.
And I'm back. Back in fact.
Yes, absolutely. How are you doing, man? Jeez.
I am doing so well. Y'all, you know the sickness is real right now.
You were just talking about your husband, man. Like,
yes.
Wow.
And it's like it left him. I was fine, went back to work, and then all of a sudden, you know how you just wake up in the morning, things just don't seem right.
Yep. That's how it is for me every single time.
Yeah.
I could be feeling fine. And then I hate the fact that like I could be hey, Denise. What up, sis?
Denise.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
He sure did. He stopped his whole
Tipsy Fiend. Tipsy Fiend. I apologize. I called her by her government name. That's Tipsy Fiend. That's the creativity behind the Access Granted Long Island iced tea. And we have a new flavor that we're about to drop on y'all soon, so y'all stay tuned for that. But what's up, sis? Thank you for tuning in. But what I was about to say, I hate when I get sick and it's just like a regular cold, and I feel great in the daytime, and then usually in the evening when it's about time for me to start winding down and lay down, I guess everything just kind of starts sitting and so on and so forth. And she said she was about to say she was going to lean on me for calling the government. I'm sorry, sis. Yeah, and those are the worst cons for me because those are the ones that last like a week and feel like that they're never going to go away.
And it's crazy, and it does that linger thing. Yeah. And I know my husband took a minute to get over it, but but I am back in full effect now.
And I want to give a shout out to my first lady at Victorious Living Faith because she was actually out sick for a month.
Yes, she was.
She was out sick for a month. It started as what she thought was a cold and ended up as pneumonia. And she was in the hospital.
I didn't know it was bad.
Yeah, she had pneumonia. So she came back actually not this past Sunday, but Sunday before. Gotcha. And it was just good to have her. I mean, like the whole atmosphere, you know, in the church is different when First Lady Jackie, Lady J is there. So shout out to her and thank her and her husband, Pastor Phil, for hosting the Super Bowl party last night.
Y'all were with them a lot this weekend because
that's exactly what we said. Yes, we literally were with them all weekend. The Valentine's paint event was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely amazing. We had a great time. So yeah, what's been going on with you other than, you know, the regular?
Besides being sick, gotta get my life together, y'all.
I'm going through the same thing. That's when it happens in the evening. I don't know what it is about the evening.
Just nothing. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. You know, January, I'm going to say, has been like a whole healing process because of, you know, getting sick and just trying to recover, and then going into February. So I'm just recovering, enjoyed the Super Bowl last night. I don't know about anybody else with Riri, but I was so surprised. I'm gonna just say it. I know you was talking about me, but I gotta talk about Riri. I did not know that baby was pregnant again. Did not know.
And I felt like that halftime show was more about announcing her pregnancy than it was anything else. But
my goodness.
I didn't people, as they usually do, take, one thing that you say and like literally blow it up. Her vocals were amazing. Her vocals were actually a little bit too amazing for me. There was some times when I was actually thinking to myself if she was really singing. But overall, it was what it was. I just wasn't, it didn't blow me away like some of the others that have seen.
Well, I think that she had certain aspects that definitely was shock value. I mean, if you think about it, how many people have you seen floating in the air?
Yeah, I did like that part.
I mean, that right there just kind of took it to, a different place, because she wasn't dancing a lot. She wasn't moving around like,
She couldn't. She looked like she's about to go into labor next week.
I know. I was just like, that's why I said, Riri, you went out there, and I will say one thing. It was different for her.
Yeah.
It was different. I think it was different for her. And I think that's where people are kind of seeing that, wait a minute, she normally does this, and this. But then there's some people that don't even know her and they're commenting.
Yeah. I mean,
they don't know the artistry of her. And they're commenting and saying that it was horrible and it was the worst Super Bowl halftime show they have ever seen.
I would never say that.
I was gonna say
it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't the worst.
It wasn't. But I have to admit, I enjoyed everything leading up to kickoff. Even everything, everyone. But before kickoff, I enjoyed, and then I'm not gonna say halftime was bad. It really wasn't.
No,
it gave you fireworks and floating. Come on, fireworks and floating.
Shout out to Rihanna though, and congratulations on the new baby. Absolutely, you got to give. Hopefully that inspires my girl Tipsy Fiend to hit the stage one more time before she has her baby, because I think that would be kind of dope. Yeah, come on, Fiend, let's do it.
I didn't start that, so I don't want her to blame me.
But anything, like any new stuff as far as your shows and your podcasts and all of that stuff, or you still kind of just in the hiatus?
Right now, nothing new. I have gone a little quiet. Unfortunately, you're doing things by yourself.
Yeah.
So, but please, I'm still, there's still things on YouTube. So head on over to Alenia Renee on YouTube, because there's plenty there. So as things start progressing and moving, I definitely will do some major announcements with the podcast and things like that for Juicy Bits and Things.
Juicy Bits and Things.
And
here go my mama checking in, and as you can see, she missed you.
I have a fan.
Yes, you do.
I have one fan.
That's one more than I have.
And look, your mama is my fan.
She asks about you every time that you're not on, and I'm like, Mom, she's a busy woman, and she'll be back. She hasn't dropped out on me yet.
No,
man.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we definitely missed you. Shout out to my sister Stacy Rose for sitting in.
Yes.
As always.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you.
Yes, did an amazing job, and I actually have to go back and check out her show a little bit, because I haven't seen her last few ones. She actually wanted me to be a guest like last Wednesday or something like that, but I wasn't able to do it. So got to make sure I continue to support her and everything.
Absolutely.
All that kind of stuff. All right, man. That's enough of us and our non-life having self. That we haven't had anything going on but watching the Super Bowl over the past 3 weeks.
Nothing at all.
Our guest tonight, man, love this lady like a play cousin. She is one of the most genuine spirits that you will ever, did I say ever meet in your life.
Ever.
And she's an amazing writer. She's an amazing author. I could go on and on, but no need. And I don't want to make her head too big. I don't want a Jack in the Box moment going on.
She deserves it.
She deserves it. Definitely does. Miss Odessa Rose is in the house. Hey, Miss Odessa.
Hey guys. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, she brought the maracas out for you. Miss Odessa came on and apologized for all of that stuff that's going on in the back. And to me, it just looks like a lot of, as you said, greatness going on. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of stuff in the process. But how have you been? How have you been, Miss Odessa? Because it's been a while.
I know I've been okay. A lot of stuff going on, just trying to just keep my head above water and not lose my mind. So, but other than that, I can't complain. God's been good to me, really, really good to me.
Oh shoot, hold on, I gotta make one. I'm sorry, can you take this for 1 second, Alenia?
I sure can. Well, I know, Miss Odessa, I will say this. I cannot wait for the audience to really get to know you tonight, because when I was sitting up there reading through your about page on your website and looking over the descriptions of your books, y'all, I'm gonna tell you right now, y'all know me, I'm a reader. I told her flat out in the beginning that I have already, subscribed to your email list, and I am going to be purchasing some books. So I cannot wait for Miss Odessa to really start talking about what she has written and her new book that's out. It's the cutest. Oh my goodness! It's the cover is so cute. But I want to get to know you, Miss Odessa, and your and where the spirit of writing has come from for you.
I'd have to say it goes back to my mom. My mother is a reader. She's been reading all her life. I'm actually writing a brief story about my journey to Pratt Library, and I always say it began with my mother when she started going into Pratt as a little girl. And so she just passed her love of reading on to her kids. And so she would take us to the library, and she's a horror fanatic. We grew up on Stephen King. Yeah. So she would read parts of it to us, and we would just be scared to death. And then, of course, we grew up, and we all of us love her horror.
Right.
All three of my sisters love horror. And we also love writing. Reading and writing, and so I believe that's where it came from. She always has in the bookstore. So what else are you gonna do?
Right. So you're from what you're saying, the Pratt Library is the beginnings.
Yeah,
it's definitely the beginning. So she is a true blue, born and raised Baltimorean.
Yes, she is. Yes. Yes, she is.
And so with that, I know, but I'm just saying for the audience, how has your love for Baltimore been transposed into your work?
I always write about Baltimore because I get it's so much more to the city than The Wire and all the.
Oh, she sounded like me right there. She sounded like me. I say that all the time.
That's
absolutely.
What it is. I'm just like, not that we don't have our issues. But people act like it's the only city that has the issues that it has, and so I just get tired of just hearing that one story. And I just want to show Baltimore in a different way. And the only way to do that is through my writing. And again, we grew up on Stephen King. And one of Stephen King's thing is he made most of his books take place in Castle Rock And so, I'm like, well, if he can just have his books, set in this one place all the time, I can set my books in Baltimore because I can tell so many different stories.
Right.
I never thought about that about Stephen King.
Yep, a lot of his things takes place in Castle Rock. Of course, he has other places, but a lot of his books take place in Castle Rock. So that's that. I guess even with me writing my books that way, I guess that kind of made me feel like I had permission to do it. I was doing it anyway, but it's always good to see somebody else and you're like, okay, what I'm doing is not bad. It's okay. Right. And I was still going to do it anyway because I just wanted to tell a different story. And and so my writing is how we do it. And also my husband and I had a show called This Is Baltimore too. And we interviewed people who grew up in Baltimore and were doing great things. Like if we still had the show, I mean, the minute we met Antoine, we wanted to do you guys, but we weren't doing the show anymore like that. So
I mean, y'all can bring it back,
Yeah. Every day we think about bringing that show back every single day. But because it takes me so long to write books, This Is Baltimore 2 helped me to still tell that story because it was just every time I went around, it was just burning me up that all I saw was this horrible stuff. And I knew all these great people. And some people I didn't know. Some people I just met on the street. And, I saw them doing great things and I started interviewing them. And so at first the show was just like a little, maybe 5 minutes. But then I met this one guy. His name is Matt Harris and he's blind. I didn't know he was blind when I met him. He was outside selling his books. And I'd always, it's hard for authors to sell their, just go out there and do that. So I'd gotten off the subway and he's standing outside, selling his books. I said, when I get a break, I'm gonna come out and talk to this guy. So when I came out to talk to him, I found out he was blind. And so we did the story on him and it was only supposed to be like 15 minutes, but we ended up basically doing a half-hour show on him because I couldn't just cut the story. So after his show, we basically did mini documentaries on folk. And so we, of course, we did Teresa. We did a woman named Tasha Bakari. She was coaching track. We did so many things. It was just wonderful. And I missed that show. I really do.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned Teresa because I'll actually be having a little documentary style feature of her coming out sometime this spring, hopefully. We were supposed to do it a while ago, but then it got cold outside and a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do was outdoors. And I don't do like cold weather, so we weren't. I wasn't going to be there doing the filming. And then she was so busy, because she's always, always working on, some kind of movie or some kind of, something for the YouTube channel or whatever. Right. So but hopefully in the spring, I have a feature that I want to do with her because she's doing amazing work.
Yeah.
She's doing absolutely amazing, and she always speaks really highly of you, Miss Odessa. She's like she's always like she's your little niece.
I love Teresa. I love Teresa Davis, and she will, no matter where she is, she will, support you. She will just shout you out. She never forgets anybody, and she tries to include everybody. And she tries to really give, even though she focuses a lot on the crime in the city, but she's trying to tell a different story with it. So I respect her work a lot.
Yep. Right. Yeah, she's gotten me in front of that camera a couple of times.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Teresa can talk you into stuff. You're like,
Teresa can talk me into skydiving at the Grand Canyon.
She talked me into being Mama Poochie and Julian's Big Mistake, and I was like, Teresa, I can't act. And she's like, yes, you can. And it was a great experience, but I'm just like, Teresa, you're crazy.
Yeah. She originally had me in Percocet, the movie, and my part was supposed to be this big. Like my part was supposed to be like literally that big. Like I don't know if y'all can see that between my 4 fingers. That's how big my part was supposed to be. And I really hope that she puts that movie out sometime soon because I want to see the finished product.
Yeah.
And y'all can see me get my emotional Denzel on. I was up in that joint getting ready to cry, man. And I looked at her at the end of the night. We were filming over at the statue right on the other side of 33rd Street from the Lake Montebello. We were at that little park right there with the big statue.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were walking to the car, I looked at her and I shook my head and I said, "You knew exactly what you were doing when you got me out here." And she just gave me this look and I was like, "Yeah, you knew exactly." But shout out to Teresa. I know we want to get into Kismick's journey, but I wanna talk a little bit about Water in a Broken Glass because
yes,
that was.
I got my notes.
She had the notes. She was gonna go there.
Oh, I'm scared when you had notes.
Miss Odessa, I'm gonna be honest with you. That was an absolutely amazing night at Cinder Theater. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of it. That was when I was still with Baltimore Flavor Radio.
Yeah.
The red carpet interviews, that whole situation leading up to the actual movie, and then the movie itself was just absolutely amazing. I just want to thank you for allowing us and me in particular to be a part of that night because it was great.
Oh, you guys.
That's why I included it on the flyer. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw that. You guys helped to make that night great because we were on. You don't when you're doing things like that, you don't realize that you are on like a tour. And so we just knew we had to do all these interviews, and we're just going from interview to interview. And if it weren't for you guys, that place wouldn't have sold out the way it did. I mean, and then like the night before we were on your show, and people after we got off your show, people started buying more. So it was like, I can never thank you guys enough.
Oh my gosh, she's gonna make me cry on air.
But it's true. It's true. That kind of stuff does not happen, in a vacuum. It's people like you giving us a shot and letting us come on your show and telling you about our little movie, Yeah. And
that's the whole part of us wanting to spread the understanding that there's more to Baltimore than just the wire.
Right.
That you talked about earlier, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was a great night. And Alenia unfortunately wasn't there. So can you tell Alenia a little bit about the book and how it became a movie?
Because I showing in here because I want to know how did the book go from being a book to going on screen. I want to hear it.
You want to hear that? You want to hear that? I have to say this right now. It was published by a small press in New York called Le Kainu, and that means our house in Haitian. And the gentleman that published the book, his name is Gashard Cadet. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of weeks ago. His memorial service was Saturday. And so, I got to mention him because had he not taken the chance on publishing my book, because he didn't know me from Adam, I was sending my book to different publishers, trying to get it published. And my whole thing was, okay, I'm gonna send it to a big press and then I'm gonna send it to a small press. And I was at my mom's house one day and I'd come across his website, and I'd written down his publishing company on the back of a receipt. And I stuck it in my pocket. And then when it came time to, send the book out, I came across the little note. And so I sent it to him. And I mailed it out on a Monday, and Wednesday he called and said he wanted to publish it. And so that's how it got there. I was in graduate school. When I wrote it, I was in undergrad at Coppin. And so between classes and, doing that, I wrote the book, and then I was getting all these rejection letters. And of course, that just kills you when you get all these rejection letters. So I was getting ready to start graduate school. So I said, send it back out. When you get your rejection letter, don't worry about it because you'll be too busy with school to cry about it. But I sent it to him and he took it. And so that's how it got published. And then how it got to the screen, because it was published in 2000. Believe it or not, BET came for it. And that was insane. So it came out in September 2000. And at the time, I was with the Black Writers Guild going on this little tour, not realizing I was on a little tour, but I was doing this little tour. And so the book just started, selling. And so BET at that time, a lot of authors were self-publishing, so they thought I had self-published. So they contacted me, but they contacted Kashad because they thought, that was it. But he called me and told me right away, BET wants the book. And I was like, okay. So I had a 2-book contract with him. And so he was willing to let me out the contract. And then, but during the negotiations, it broke down. So, of course, first I was kind of disappointed because BET came forward in February, and I was pregnant with my first son, so everything was just going crazy, and at that time, like Eric Jerome Dickey was big, Alexander Kwame Alexander was big, and I was on a tour with them, and not with Alexander, with Kwame. We were at the Ena Pratt Library, and for this big, I didn't even realize it was just this big thing. I didn't even invite my family or anything because I'm like, oh, it's just another little, book signing. Don't come. And Elijah Cummings was there. It was this huge thing. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? But they were congratulating me because I didn't realize I was a baby in the publishing industry. So I didn't realize that kind of stuff spread like that. So when Kwame congratulated me, I thought he was congratulating me on my pregnancy. And he was like, no, the book deal. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So it was this big buzz that, that BET was going to pick it up. Carl Weber, I talked to him because I didn't have an agent. So he gave me an agent. It was just Mary Morrison. I talked to her. So they all just rallied around me and helped me, to navigate this. But the only problem was the money that they wanted to give Gishad to get me out of the contract. So that's when everything broke down because what was supposed to happen, I was supposed to stop touring. They were going to re-release it in hardcover and all of that stuff. But, the deal broke down. But, of course, I was disappointed at first. But my mother always says things happen for a reason. So speed up years later, around 2000, I forgot, 2006 or something like that, I get this email from Jamel Williams and Jamel Thomas. And she said, I'm a film student. I'd like the rights to make this a movie. And at first, and I didn't read, she had sent me that email like in April. I didn't see it till June or something crazy because I didn't check kind of like people sending you stuff, birthday stuff on Facebook. Yeah. So I didn't see it for a while. And then even when I saw it, I was just like, that's not real. But she was serious. And so she had to go through, of course, Gishad because he owned the rights. And so after about maybe a year, it was a minute because all that back and forth and how's this going to work and how are you going to do that? So she had to do a whole lot of negotiating to get him to agree to give her the rights to do the film. And then after that, she had to raise all this money to do the film. So it took a while. It took a long time.
So for the uneducated in this process, so you're the author of the book.
Yes.
But someone else had the rights to it.
When you when you're traditionally published, you sign the rights to your book over to that publisher. So they own the rights to your book. Yes.
Does that explain why so many people choose to go the self-published route then? So that
yeah.
Because as soon as you mentioned BET, I thought that you were talking in terms of taking it to the screen when you mentioned them, and I said BET might have gotten that and totally tore it apart, and it wouldn't have been because especially if you didn't have any creative control over that part.
You have nothing. When you're traditionally published, the publisher owns that book, and you can't do anything without that publisher say so. So it's not your work anymore.
Alenia, I see the look. I see the look on your face, Alenia. You want to chime in, sis? I see the look.
But I will say this: everything does happen for a reason.
Yes, or doesn't happen.
or doesn't.
Right.
And so when you said that's what your mother always said, and you gleaned onto that because you did what you thought was best, which, to go to this big publisher.
Yep.
And well, not big publisher, but a publisher.
Yep.
To help you with bringing your baby, and this is your first one.
Yep.
Y'all, now we haven't gotten to the others. This is her first one. Yeah. And so imagine if all of this is happening to the first one. You can imagine, what her thinking. And that's where I'm over here going, so then how did you navigate the next two? Which I know we're going to be talking about it. So I want you to finish, because this right here, I'm just absorbing everything. And that's only because I decided to do my book independently as well. And now I'm going into the second edition of the book because I decided, there was more that can go into it to give it more meat and more power and to really get my voice across for the impact. And this time around, though, I am using the help.
Yes.
To get it. So I'm like, oh.
and that's the thing too. You when you're traditionally published, you have this idea that the publisher is going to put you out there, and they're not. Even if even if you get with a big publisher, unless you are a big name, they're not going to really push you. They're going to publish the book. They're going to do some things, but for the most part, all the stuff that you're doing as an independent author, you have to do if you're traditionally published. And especially now, I didn't know it was like that back then, because back then you always heard, okay, you get your book picked up, and then the publisher is going to send you on this tour, and
right.
It doesn't happen.
You'll be on Oprah next month.
Yeah, you'll be on
right. Oprah's hopeless.
Terry McMillan talked about that. Terry McMillan talked about her first novel, Mama, when it came out. Yep. And she said that she was with this publisher, and she saw other people going on tours, and she said, well, what about me? And they were like, well, we don't have any money for you right now. So she said, her mother said, if you want something done, do it yourself. So she personally contacted, I think she said 3,000 or something people. And back then there was no email. She was handwriting letters or typing letters to people and sending them out. And she sold out of her first printing by herself. Wow. After she did that, that's when the publisher came to her. Oh, here's some money. And she told
me. And found some.
Yeah. They
found some.
Yep. So now with Lakai New, I didn't know that, that wasn't going to happen. So and it was so funny because there was this thing, you had to contact the bookstores yourself. And so I asked them, I was like, well, how do I do this? And then I got, wait a minute, this book here, Dan Pointer's Publishing Man. So this was the Bible in self-publishing back in the day. I still use stuff out of here. This book got me through. It told me everything I needed to do. And my media packet looked better than the publishing company packet. He sent me his, and I was like, what is this? And mine looked better. And when I sent it to the bookstores, because you had to put it together and then mail it out to these bookstores, and my book was getting picked up because of my media packet. So and so now it's easier to do, but you still have to do it. Even now, I'm going around to the independent bookstores and talking to them and getting them to put my book in their store. Right. But you still have to do a lot of that unless you have a publicist, and they cost a lot of money.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're saying it right.
Yeah.
You're saying it right.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. I am learning so much.
Interesting. Yeah. What was the name of the book again?
Self-publishing.
Yep. Dan Pointer's. If you talk to anybody that was publishing back in the 90s, they had this book. Everybody had this book. And he's done several more, he's updated the versions of it, especially now with the social media and stuff like that. But the basics are here. Everything you need to do is still in that book. And that's why it sits right there
I was thinking when you pulled that up, I was like, how convenient is it that the book was right there?
Right there. That's because all that greatness.
All that greatness.
This one.
Social media marketing.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
You have to, if you want to do this thing, you have to read. You have to read. You have to. It's not, I mean, you can go on YouTube and listen to folk, but at some point you got to read it and then you got to do it.
Do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what's going to make it happen. It's, I know a lot of people think, you know, that like even with Terry McMillan, that it happened overnight for her. It didn't happen overnight for her. It didn't.
She went through some stuff.
Yeah, she went through some stuff. Yeah. It doesn't, I mean, even with Water becoming a film, it didn't happen. It seems like it did because you just heard about it. And then all of a sudden, you know, I was filming it. And then, well, not me. They were filming it in 2016. And then in 2017, they were doing the, you know, the publicity for it. There were years. I mean, Jamel contacted me, I think in 2006 or 2007. She didn't start filming until 2016. And even with that, there was starts and stops, you know. So it took a lot. It took a whole lot to get that film done.
So how long was that the entire process from start to finish to get it to the point where we were at the Senator Theater?
From 2007. And in between too, also she had a baby, she got married, you know, stuff like that. And then, you know, I had children, but I didn't have to do anything. She's the one that had the right. Once she got the thing was getting the rights, you know, and that whole thing with the contract and stuff like that. Once she was able to do that, once she and Gashard came to terms with, you know, what was going to happen, then she could move. And I can remember my husband and I were, and at one point I thought it wasn't going to happen, you know, because and then I really, after they did it, learning about other people's journey to getting a film done, I realized that, you know, that's just the process. It takes a while, you know. Even like Viola Davis was talking about how, you know, people come to you and say, oh yeah, we're going to do this movie, and you don't hear anything for years, and then all of a sudden, hey, we're ready to do the movie. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just the way it works. Just the way it works.
But you wouldn't know that if you had not been in the position.
Right.
And the great thing about even hearing this, especially for someone, I will say like myself, because I'm sure, you know, people in the replay, you know, other authors, to hear this, and thank you for being so open and honest about your process, because this helps us to make even better decisions and say, okay, so you know what, no, let me go out, let me check these books out that she has, you know, she is putting up in the air saying, I still use it, reaching behind and grabbing it. And so, and looking at you as, you know what, this is someone I'm going to be watching what she does, because that's what they say. If you have a vision, you know, who do you know is doing what you want to do, so that you know who to emulate. And with that being said, who has been kind of that, you know, but I know you spoke of Terry McMillan, but who have you, you know, was there anyone else that you saw doing what you're doing and you're like, let me figure out how they did that?
I would say definitely, of course, Toni Morrison is like my favorite author in the world. As far as writing, I go to her for everything. As far as making sure that I'm doing the things for social media, doing all that, there's an author named, she's gonna be mad at me, but I'm gonna say her name anyway. Her name is Tina, but she goes by AC Author, and she's written 1 billion books. Tina puts out a book every month. I don't know how she does it, but she does. She can write a book in a month. I don't know how she does it, but she does. And we both help each other. I can remember when a couple years ago she was writing a book, and she would call me, wondering about what she needed to do, and then I would tell her, and then I'd call her, what do I need to do here? And so
right.
It's her and the Black Writers Guild. There's a woman named Wilma. She's not the president, but the guild wouldn't be still running if she wasn't doing what she was doing. But Wilma, she really pushes you. She I'm not gonna say she demands a lot of you, but she's just like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And then where's your list? What's this? What's that? So I go to her sometimes. I probably go to her a lot. And then of course they're just my friends and my family, They and then believe it or not, and it's not just writers that I look to. Antoine, believe it or not, you guys, when I watch you guys and see what you guys are doing, I'm like, oh, I gotta get on my ball. I gotta get on the game. So I look at everybody that's doing whatever it is they're doing. Right. I look at them like there's a guy named Terry. He does dancing, that crazy leg dancing and stuff like that. I actually met him when I was doing This Is Baltimore too. He was walking down the street, and I just asked him to do the little promo, and that's how I met him. And then I got to interview him and learn that he does, that kind of dancing. But on his Instagram page, I just see him dancing all the time. So whatever it is people are actually doing, I look and say, okay, what are you doing to make sure you're doing what you want to do, that you had the outcome that you want. Right. And I can remember one of the reasons we stopped This Is Baltimore too, because I was doing so much. I was doing everything except writing, but I didn't realize that until after the film. We filmed for 6 weeks, and Jamel let me be on the set, which they don't like authors on the set. Right. But I was lucky enough that she let me be on the set, because an author will look at that and go, that's not what my character said. That's not what they look like. So they don't want you on there getting on their nerves. But she let me be on set. And so we were there for 6 weeks. And of course, I missed my family because we were gone. I was gone all the time, because the shooting days, the hours were just crazy. It was fun, but it was long. And so once I settled down, I was on the couch with my babies at the time, and they were laying on me. And, because also one of the sad parts is, I think 3 days after we started filming, Michael's mother passed away. And so that was really hard, because we're filming this movie, and I got to be there for my husband and my children, because they lost their grandmother and, stuff like that. And then I'm feeling a certain way because my mother-in-law is gone. And so that it was really hard during that time. And I can remember driving the set, because I had to go to set because they needed the car. And I had to go, and I was kind of complaining, and I said, okay, God, ever since you gave me this, I've been complaining. I said, I'm going to just stop complaining and just enjoy it. And from that point on, I didn't worry, I didn't let myself worry about it. But after that 6 weeks, and I'm home with my family, and I'm able to just lay on the couch, the people that are in the film started showing up on my television because they're in commercials and stuff. And then I'm looking on my Facebook page, and everything that they did to make sure that they furthered their craft. And I was like, what am I doing to further my craft? And I realized that my book was, the publisher that was supposed to publish my book, they hadn't published it. But I was so busy doing This Is Baltimore 2 and doing the film and this, that, and other thing. I didn't realize that the book, that it passed the time for the book to be published, and they hadn't contacted me. So yeah, so that's when so just looking at the actresses and actors and just watching how they were so devoted to what they were doing, it made me kind of reevaluate what I was doing and where I wanted to go. And unfortunately I had to let This Is Baltimore 2 go in order to be the writer that I wanted to be. That was a long-winded answer. I'm sorry.
No, that was good, because I think that's leading us up to book number 2. So the book that wasn't published on time, was that book number 2?
that actually, wow, it's so crazy. I've had so many publishers that would start to publish a book and then something would happen and I would have to get the rights back. Luckily, I was able to get the rights back. There was a woman that was supposed to publish in the Mirror, and we had done the trailer for it and everything, and we were going along, and then all of a sudden she disappeared and she wouldn't answer anybody's call. And she had all these authors underneath her. And so, we were all on, I don't know what space we were, I guess on Facebook or something. And everybody was going, well, have you heard from her? Have you heard from her? And we hadn't heard from her. So of course, people started emailing her, but some of the emails were really mean. They were like, where's my, give me my,
right.
My approach was, I said, I don't know what this because she wasn't like that before. She just stopped communicating. So I'm like, something went wrong. I don't know what it is. So I wrote her an email. I said, I'm not sure what happened. I hope you're okay. But if you don't mind, could you please give me back the rights? And she gave me my rights just like that. Wow. Everybody else, she didn't give that. But I wasn't being, sneaky about it. I was just like, something's wrong.
Right.
I don't know what it is. And I told her, I hope that you're okay. And, so then after that, but she gave me the rights back. I mean, that after I guess she read that email and she sent me my rights back right then.
Right.
So I was able to publish it, Then I got another publisher and he's a great guy, but I think he liked the idea of publishing, but being a publisher was too much pressure because he had to do certain things. So he ended up giving me back the rights to the book. And that was for In the Mirror as well.
Right.
And then I met another couple. They wanted to publish Kismick's Journey. And so they took me and Mike out to lunch. And I told them, I said, I didn't want to go with another small press because of the issues I've had with them.
Right.
And they were like, oh, this is going to be different. This is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. I said, okay. So we signed the contract. And then right after that, they had this big party for me, which was really cool. Something called Fan Appreciation Day. So all the people that like my work, we did things for them. So, and I'd never had anything like that before. And so that was really cool. And then we started filming. And so they told me I had to have the draft in, and I put the draft in. And then they started filming. And so I was on set and stuff. And that's when I realized, wait a minute, the book's not out. And so I contacted them, and I had to go to dinner with one of them. And basically they're publishing, one of them moved to Texas, and no fault of their own, it's just life got in the way. And so the publishing company basically dissolved, but the one guy wanted to honor the contract because they had taken me to dinner. They had convinced me to sign with them, and he didn't want it to be the same thing that I'd already gone through. And I told him, I said, it's okay. It's fine. Just give me back the rights.
My rights.
So he gave me back the rights to Kismick's Journey. And then after that, I was going through, I said, okay, I'm going to try another publisher. So I was sending it out, kept getting these rejections. And I was like, something's wrong. Why? I mean, people love the concept, but once they got the book, they were like, nah, never mind. So then I realized that I'd given them a draft. I'd forgotten that I hadn't really finished the book. I'd given the draft knowing that, once you write, they're going to rewrite it.
Yes.
You're going to send it through the editing process.
Right.
So you're going to have to rewrite it. I just made sure I kept the deadline. And so that's when I realized that, the book's not finished. So I sat down and I said, no matter what, 29, and I was writing another book. I'd started my fourth book. And it was January 2019. I will never forget it. I said, I'm going to rewrite Kismick's Journey, and I'm not going to let anything stop me from writing this book to the best of my ability. And so 2019, I'm going. 2020 came, and all the stuff with the politics and so-and-so in office and us being murdered in the streets and nothing being done about it. And I almost stopped writing. I told my husband, I said, I can't. I said, we got to do something. We can't sit here. I said, we don't need another novel. We need a revolution. I'm losing my mind, Yeah. And he kept telling, and he kept saying, no, you're all right. And then God just kept telling me, just keep writing.
Yes.
And I said, all right, God, but they killing us. He said, just keep writing. And I kept writing. I kept writing through it all. And then February 2021, I finished and I cried because I realized then that it does matter, that our voices do matter, that's the whole point of what they were doing, is to stop us from doing these things, to stop us from voicing and putting out different and telling our stories. And, so that's, I don't know if I answered your question, but
you did.
So before we get too deep into Kismick's journey, so the process, because I've noticed you mentioned this twice. So the process of giving you your rights back for your stuff is, you said that you just literally emailed the young lady one time and she just gave it right back. Is that pretty much just a simple process of like signing some paperwork, or how does that process work?
Yeah, it's just people, you come to an agreement and they say, okay, yeah, you can have the rights revert back to you. Okay. And they have no claim over it. Okay. So you can do whatever it is you want to do. The only thing, when I got the rights back to water back in 2021. Yeah. Again, there was a bit of a dispute about rights. And so when the DVD came out, and there was a dispute about I guess funds, and so I was able to get the rights. He gave me back the rights for water, which I thought I'd never get the rights back to water. And so he gave me back the rights back to water. And once I did, I had finished Kismick's journey, but I didn't want water to sit because the film had just come, film just came on DVD, and people wouldn't be able to get the book because he stopped publishing it. So I put it back out. I couldn't use the same cover because, that wasn't my cover. So, but everything else belonged to me. The story was mine. So I was able to put it back out, and with a different cover. I'm not going to say a better cover because I love that cover. I loved everything about water. I will never, even though we had our differences, I will always give Gishad the respect because the only reason Water became a film is because he published the book. If he had, because I did not know Jamel. I didn't know anything about Jamel. And she read it. She was in California and she was going through her own process about, her sexual identity. And a friend of hers had read my book and said, here, read this book. And that's how it happened. And I didn't know her friend. I didn't know any of them. So that's how it happened. So I will always just say, I always tell Gishad, thank you for publishing the book. So.
Right. So then from In the Mirror, that was one of the ones that also you had to get the rights back for as well. So all three of your books.
She just took all her stuff back.
Yeah.
Give it all back.
She didn't just reclaim her time. She reclaimed her word.
Give it all back.
Got you.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that I did have, and I know that we're moving our way to Kismick's journey. I just, because reading the description of In the Mirror, I just wanted to know where your mind was when you wrote it. That's all I'm going to ask. What made you decide that? Because you had me at, she decided to go to the house. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, y'all.
No, where she really has you is, what does a woman do when she's trying to
prove that her boyfriend is not
what the hell is that? When she went to the house. No, I mean, and I don't want to give away the book. Of course, the description is going to draw you in. So please make sure you go to her website, y'all. I'm serious. Go to her website. I'm not just saying this. But in the mirror, I just needed to know what made you decide to go that way, because whoo.
I always figured that the other woman needs to see what's happening in the house. I figure they want to know it. They sometimes they say they don't, but they want to know what their competition is, what their competition is doing. You know, why won't he leave her for me? I'm doing all these things, and why won't he just leave? And so they always want to be a fly on the wall. And so for her, Jasmine and in her mind, she's not doing it for herself. You know, she's doing it for her mother
and her best friend.
Because they, you know, they're starting to ask questions. Well, her best friend knows. So she's always telling her, you know, this is just stupid. Her parents are starting to figure it out. But she wants to, you know, she wants to be able to tell them, you know, he just don't love her. And you know, and I know other women say that all the time, but I know for myself, I know for a fact that once the kids get older, you know, he's gonna leave me for her. And everything's gonna be fine. It's, you know, it's not no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Right. I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm all right being by myself.
And so I always wanted to know what does the other woman have to do in order to live in that space? How do they survive in that space? Because they're there, but they're not there. You know, they have to hide everything. They can't, you know, and Jasmine rationalizes all of that. You know, like tomorrow's Valentine's Day. Jasmine rationalizes having to celebrate Valentine's Day the day before or the day after. Well, I got him. You know, it don't matter what day it is. You know, the other woman has to do a lot in order to live in that space and not lose her mind. And so I just wanted to play with that and see, you know, and also, you know, a lot of times the other woman is portrayed as this horrible, horrible, horrible person. And by the end of whatever book or movie it is, you want that other woman dead. They make her so horrible that you want her dead. And I always say, she's somebody's mother, she's somebody's sister, she's somebody's aunt, she's somebody's niece, she's somebody's best friend. So who is this other woman? And, you know, I wanted to make her human. You know, I wanted her not to be a stereotype. I didn't want her to be this horrible, horrible person that you just want dead at the end. And that's not to say that you negate what she's done. You know, that's not to say that the wife doesn't have legitimate, you know, a gripe against the other woman. And I'm not trying to make the other woman be like this angel and, you know, sympathetic character and stuff like that. It's just that with my books, I don't give people an out. If you do something, I'm not going to make it so easy that, you know, people just accept what you've done. Like even with Water, none of the characters have an out. Tanya is who she is, Satin's who she is, Malcolm's who. Tanya does something, but it's not because she hasn't met a great guy. You know, it's not because all men are dogs, and so I can accept this. You know, so I can do this. You know, that's not it. And the same with In the Mirror, as far as why Gishard, the guy that published Water, he had read the first version of In the Mirror, and he got kind of upset about what was happening, and of course we had the inevitable conversation that people are not meant to be monogamous. I'm like, okay, I said, let's go with your philosophy. People are not meant to be monogamous. So this whole thing, you know, of one person, you know, just throw it out the window. I said, all right. So when your father or brother leaves out of his house to go be with whoever, somebody's got to come in your house to be with your mama, your sister, your brother. He ain't like that. It's like, but that's the way it works. I mean, these men have to cheat with somebody.
Right.
So who are they going to cheat with? You know, it's kind of like how they say, you know, women are supposed to be virgins, but guys are supposed to sow their oats. Well, who are they going to sow their oats with if women are supposed to be virgins? You got the two sides of your mouth. You can't have it both ways, you know.
Right.
Yo, Miss Odessa has given an out to all of the side chicks.
No, what she did was give understanding that even despite someone's decision,
Right.
Yeah.
they're not just the only one wrong.
Right.
I think that's what I was getting.
Yeah, because
from the decision, the description.
Most like let's look at Fatal Attraction. The only reason that woman was in their life was because Dan did what he did. Right. But at the end of the movie, they made her so crazy that you wanted her dead. And who gets to kill her? The wife. The wife gets her revenge on the other woman. Now this fool is the reason why, but he gets to stay home. Now they're back together because she got in a car accident. But most times women get mad at the other woman and let the man just skip on back on, do whatever, so it's not an out. I don't give anybody an out. Jasmine does not have an out. She just does something at a time in her life because she feels she wants what her parents has. She wants what her best friend has. And so she's getting up in her 40s and she's starting to feel like she's not going to have it. And then in walks Daniel and she feels like she can have it.
Just like this. He came in just like
that. He came in just like that. Yeah. And then he doesn't have an out. I'm not going to give away too much, but one of the things, when men cheat, the first thing they start saying, and the other woman will repeat it, she doesn't talk to me. We don't have, relations on a regular basis. We don't do this. We don't do that. She don't understand me. She don't get me. All this stuff. When Jasmine meets Daniel and she's waiting for him to tell her all the stuff that men normally run down.
Right.
So she'll feel justified in doing it. And he can't say it. He cannot say that about his wife because it's not true. And so then she's just like, well, I don't care.
I'm going to do it anyway.
But so that's when I say I don't give people an out.
Right.
Daniel doesn't have an out for what he does. Jasmine doesn't have an out for what she does, so you do these things, there are consequences, and you might have a great reason for doing it, but you gotta face it. So that's what I do with my books. I don't let anybody just because what's the point in that?
Right.
There's no point in that.
Did you just wipe your brow?
Yeah.
I just know I will be reading all three.
I kind of want to see that on the big screen as well.
Jamel is talking of doing In the Mirror as a
that has Taraji P. Henson written all.
And I always say Jasmine's not crazy. She's in love. But everybody's like, nah, she crazy though.
She crazy.
She crazy.
And she, when your heart is in something, and then y'all, I'm gonna let it go after this. But we do some foolish things.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When we start thinking that this is okay, because I feel this is right.
Right.
Then what I'm doing is okay because my heart's not feeling anything. I'm okay.
Right.
Not the voice.
Because that's how foolish it sounds.
Yes.
That's how foolish it sounds because I understand that.
Yep.
I understand it because you justify, like you said. It's that justification. And it sounds that foolish.
Yeah. She finds it because I'm like, how does the other woman do this? But they justify everything. They have to justify everything. The reason why they can't spend so much time. And she plays with the math as far as how long they've been together. I'm not giving away, but they've been together for 2 years. But of course, they can't spend every waking hour together. So she's like, well, when you really think about it, we're just getting, we've been together for this amount of time because, she plays with the math. You have to do all kinds of things to make sure you're okay with this, because especially since she knows her parents are not going to accept this at all.
Right. Oh, y'all, go to her website. We're going to go to book 3 now, but go to her website.
I'm
doing a promo.
The movie to come. But yes, let's get a little bit into Kismick's journey. And I love the artwork on this book.
I know, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Did we miss Odessa?
I owe that all to the person who, huh? Say
no, you froze a little bit, Miss Odessa.
Person.
Miss Odessa.
You got me?
Okay, there you are. There you are.
All right.
This is why I love doing this live.
You notice we both stood in the same spot, asshole.
No, I had to move to make sure everybody wasn't frozen. I had to move a little
bit. Victoria Valentine does all my artwork for me now. Okay. Well, at least for the last couple books. So I owe that to her. I decided to self-publish Kismick's Journey because I know that the story is good now and that a publisher would take it, but that's going to be another maybe year or two process. If I'm lucky, it could happen like it happened with Water when I sent it out and Gashard took it, next couple of days. But I didn't, because so much was going on. With COVID, we were losing a lot of people. And I just felt like I didn't want to wait. I said, if I get this book out, I'm just going to put it out. I'm going to put it out myself. And I'd already gone through so many publishers. So I was like, I just got to do it myself. And so I said, that's not to say I'll never do traditional publishing, but for Kismick's Journey, it was such an important book. And I just wanted to keep it close to my heart and put it out the way that I wanted to put it out. Because when you give it to a publisher, they're going to make you rewrite it. They're going to change some things. They're going to do this. Now, to Gashard's credit, he changed some things in Water. He questioned some things, but it helped me to make the book better. Right. And that's not to say that couldn't happen with Kismick's Journey, but I didn't want to wait that long, and I just wanted this book out the way that I have it in my heart. So, and
there was a lot. Like Baltimore was like a really special place in the 70s. What was it about the 70s Baltimore that kind of made you use that as the setting for the book?
Because we could go out, we could play. I was out all the time. I can just remember just being out all the time. I was never in the house. Soon as that sun came up and my mother said we could go out, we were out and we played. Jacks, baseball, everything, anything you wanted to play. I mean, the streets were just filled with people. And I grew up in Park Heights and Belvedere and Elma and all of that stuff. So all the houses were filled with people. There were corner stores everywhere. I mean, we were just running in and out of the corner store with our little dollars, getting our candy and running back and playing football. You just hung out. All your friends were in that neighborhood. Like my kids, their friends are all over the place. So you got to drive them, go pick up the friend. If we wanted to see our friends, we just went outside. It was just a great time. I just remember having such a great time. And so because of the Baltimore that's always portrayed, I wanted to show this Baltimore. I wanted to show what Baltimore was like when we did. People always say, "Oh, we got hoods." We had neighborhoods. We didn't, we didn't just have places where people were scared to go outside, and the kids were being killed. And not to say that it was a utopia. Things did happen, but we could play outside without any worries, and things were happening. We just didn't know it, So it was just a great time, and I wanted to show that. I wanted to just show that side of Baltimore, and just remember and help people remember, and show the Black community in such a loving way, an honest portrayal. Because, like I said, it's not a utopia, but just show it in a different way. That's why.
So, was there anyone particular that actually was kind of like your muse for this? Because it does take a young lady through, you know.
She literally just stole my question.
Did I? I'm sorry.
I was going to ask. No, I was going to ask.
My notes.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, you know.
He was looking at your notes.
I was looking at my notes.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, if there was a person that kind of, you know,
Yeah.
you use the inspiration for Kismic.
No,
Really?
the
Wow.
story just came to me.
Wow.
And that's what happens with a lot of my stories. That anybody, you know, before Water was published, Gishai called me up like 2 days before it was going to print. He was like, do we need to you know, have anybody signing consent forms and stuff? I'm like, no, it's not true. It's nothing in it's true. And there's no Tanya, there's no, you know, none of these people are based on anybody. It's just my imagination. And the same with In the Mirror, and the same with Kismic's Journey. I mean, the crazy thing is I got the idea for Kismic's Journey when Water came out in 2000. I've been living with that story that long. That's why I was like, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait for a traditional publisher to, you know, to pick it up. I'm just going to get it out there. But there was no one. I just want that story just came to me. Kismic came to me, and she wouldn't leave. She stayed with me all this time, and I finally got her down on paper.
And is the title, the name, significant in any way?
Yeah, but if I tell you, it'll mess it up for you.
Okay, I'm buying the book. I'm buying the book. We need to make sure we put up there where they can go buy the books.
The same with Water in the Broken Glass. I can tell you where the title came from, but I can't tell you. Like, Michael's mother actually gave me the title for Water in the Broken Glass. I was talking to her. She was talking about something totally different. She was talking about growing up in the South and how you couldn't trust. I gotta just say how you couldn't trust some of the white people around, because she said they would give you water in a broken glass. And I stood in the kitchen with her, and she kept talking, and I kept that in my head. I didn't want to just be rude and run out.
Right.
I was like, that's the title of this book. I had to fight for it, again, because it wasn't my book. So I had to talk with Gashad and say, can it be Water in the Brook? He wanted to name it something, When Art Imitates Life, or something like that. But I fought for it, and he let me do it.
Couldn't have been another title.
Yeah.
Well, when I read it, I'm probably gonna be like, Miss ODESSA, I just let you know. I'm finished this one. I'm moving on to the next, and I'm in love.
Is the movie still available? I hate to keep going back to Water, but you brought it up again, Miss ODESSA. Is the movie is it available streaming anywhere?
It's streaming it's on Amazon Prime. It's streaming on Apple. I know it's on Tubi. I know people have been sending me pictures of them watching it lately, because it's been showing up a lot lately. Gotcha. So that's a good thing. And of course, it's on DVD and Blu-ray. So, yep. But I can't tell you that the other than Kismic is the main character, I can't tell you about the title, because it'll just mess the book up for you.
I got you.
And the thing is, it's right around that puberty time. So
right.
You never know what that journey may be at that point. So yeah, I'm definitely. Yeah.
That's the title. The subheading is going from childhood to adolescence is a trip, and I use trip in the way that we say trip. It's not just going
not
from
the journey.
Right? You know how we say something's a trip. That's it. That's the title.
This is so good.
I just keep imagining. I keep imagining that as a book too. I mean, as a movie too. As I'm sitting here thinking about, like she could be on one of the streets with the brownstones and how they.
Well, she did. It's like comparison to Crooklyn.
Right. Yes. Crooklyn. Yep.
That journey.
Yep. And for young, I don't know if you've ever read Judy Blume's "Are You There, God Is Me, Mark."
Yep.
It's along those lines.
Yes, I have.
Yep. Coffee Will Make You Black, April Sinclair. It's along those lines.
And is this available now already, or are we still?
It's available now. Yep, finally. And I'm working on the audiobook. I'm recording the audiobook myself.
Right. Nice. And she shows you her setup and go to her website, y'all. She shows you the setup.
Yeah, my husband helped me build it.
She in the cut.
I'm in the cut.
She in the cut.
But I'm in there. We turned a closet in my office. Mm-hmm. It's actually like right over there into a studio, a sound booth. So
yep.
Wow.
Yeah. I said, babe, you gotta help me here I will always say this, other than my husband has been there with me. We met when we were 12. And when we were 12, I remember him saying, when you become a famous author, don't forget about me. And I'm able to do the things that I do today because of my husband. Mm-hmm. Michael has been in my corner. Yeah. He is awesome. He is awesome. And if I wanted to say a character was based on somebody, I would say Malcolm from Warden and the Broken Glass. He's not my husband, but I was like, I need a good guy. And so when I think about good guys, I think about my husband, I think about my father, I think about some of the friends that I have. People always say that guys are, awful, but I know some wonderful black men. And I will never, ever say all black men are awful. I will never ever say
the only women that say that are the ones that can't keep a man. But
exactly.
That's another topic for another time.
I would never say
that's another book.
That's another book.
Exactly.
And it's funny that you said that, Alenia, because I was about to ask. So it seems like, as you're already in the process of creating, those 3 books, it seems like when you were in the midst of doing one, you had the thoughts of another one already on your mind. So as Kiss Mix is now available, I'm quite sure that there's already something else in the works if you want to talk a little bit about it.
I'm going back to the Subway book, which is what it's tentatively titled that because stuff is happening on the subway. But that's what I was writing when I decided, okay, let me redo Kismick's journey. And so I put that on hold. So now I'm getting back into the Subway book.
Fantastic.
Subway book.
Yep. It's called The Subway.
Oh yeah, and don't forget to tell everyone she has journals.
Oh yeah.
She has journals as well.
Again, Ode to Baltimore. This journal here. Mm-hmm. Baltimore neighborhoods. I list neighborhoods that people don't want to talk about, that act like we don't exist. So there's Morgan Park, there's Edmondson Village, and it's just a blank line journal because I love journals.
It's got to be some Walbrook Junction and Liberty Heights and Garrison.
It's on there. Cherry Hill's on there.
Cherry Hill was at the top.
Yep. All of that's on here. I just love this city so much till when this was one of the first journals I made. So I love journals. So I always said I wanted to have my own line of journals one day. So and one of the things this journal is, this was actually the first one. I tell a lie. This was the first one. And it's a blank line journal because I'm always writing. But I was at Coppin. It was my last semester. And I was pregnant with our son, Brian. And I did not want to write another term paper. I was ready to just go home. And I had one term paper to write. And I didn't think I could do it. And something said, don't be afraid to fail, be determined to succeed. And I went home and I wrote that paper and I graduated. I wobbled on across the stage.
Hey, shout out to Coppin, man. I used to work at Coppin.
I love Coppin. Coppin prepared me for everything.
Yeah, I worked for the McNair program up there.
Oh, I was a McNair scholar.
Were you?
Yes.
Did you know Miss Adrian?
Yeah. I was a McNair scholar, yes.
I have been trying to find Miss Adrian since I left Coppin and have never been able to find her. I would love to come across her. And rest in peace to Miss Cook, Miss Olga Cook. That was the secretary in the office at that time. Right across the street from the nurses. The nursing class. Yeah. I was a young man at Coppin. could have been in a book back then. But anyway.
Don't talk about stuff in front of a writer. You know you'll end up
exactly.
I mean,
that's how I get my lessons that I talk about.
Really,
I do.
I had some great times. Coppin had a really good energy at that time. Because that was the time that the basketball team was good and they had made the NCAA tournament. And it was just a lot of good stuff going on at Coppin at that time. And it literally blows my mind to drive past Coppin now and see buildings across the street and, you know, a brand new basketball arena where I used to go to funerals at, you know, on Gwen Falls right across from Mondawmin.
Right.
Yeah, they I don't know where they and Morgan and, you know, I don't know where they're getting all this money from, man, but continue to build, continue to grow. They're doing some great things.
Coppin prepared me for everything. They prepared me to go to University of Maryland. And in some ways, in other ways, I was kind of like, I was shocked because at Coppin, you know, I stayed on the 5th floor because that's where the English department was. And you go there, the doors are open, you know, just go talk to your professor anytime. When I went to University of Maryland at College Park, it took me half the semester to realize the professors were in their offices, just the doors were closed. Wait a minute. And I would go up there and say, ain't nobody up here. And I'd go on back downstairs. But it was different.
Yeah.
Oh, killing me. The English department, was that Dr. T.J. Bryan?
Yes. And she was in charge of the McNair program. Stop.
We're gonna be kind here.
Yes, Dr. T.J. Bryan. Yes, sir. Yep. Dr. Cataliotti, Ann Cobb, Ronald Collins. Yep.
Dr. T.J. Bryan used to send me home with nightmares sometimes. She was a great woman, but she was a hard woman to work for. And I just love the fact that because she was the dean and had so much other stuff to do that she spent very little time in the McNair office. But the time that she was there, oh my gosh, I wanted to.
You know what was funny? She was always Dr. T.J. Bryant, right? For the McNair scholars, Dr. T.J. Bryant. That's all we knew. Somehow or another, we found out what her first name was. Thelma. We were like, Thelma. We just died. For some reason, we were like, that because she had, you know, Dr. T.J. Bryant. You know, she was, and to have just a normal name like Thelma, it just like, what? Something, you know.
What did you think it was going to be like?
I don't know, but Thelma, I don't know.
Not Thelma.
You know.
But the way she carried herself, I understand it. The way she carried herself, I understand it.
Yeah, she was such a big, you know, she was a small, skinny woman. She was serious about education. And a certain one is things a certain way. Yeah.
Look how small the world is.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. You can be a part of the Coppin crew.
I'm just excited. UMBC over here, so I work
across the street from UMBC.
Yeah.
I work across the street from UMBC.
Okay, then there we go.
Close enough. Right on the other side of Wilkins Avenue. You got UMBC, and then you got Spring Grove Hospital. You're right there. Miss ODESSA, this has been fun. I love you so much.
I love you guys. Thank you guys so much.
I have the where did I do it? I have the website that I put up, but I want you to let everyone else know, other than the website, how they can follow you, how they can contact you.
Facebook.
Let me ask you one question before we close out. Would you ever consider publishing others?
Me?
Yes.
I guess if not right now. I definitely would tell you where to go. Because I'm also running an eBay, a used eBay store has a used bookstore. So that's what all this stuff is. I have to list all these books on my site.
I only ask because I feel like because of all of the stuff that you've been through, and trying to make sure that your 3 books came to life, you know, and got out to the world, I think you probably would be not only a good publisher, but a fair publisher. Like, I don't think you would, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely will tell people whatever it is they need to know to make sure they get out there. That's what I would do. I think that's the best thing I could do for people. I could just, if you need help, just contact me. I'll tell you everything you need to know. That's because people help me. So when people come to me and ask me, questions, I just tell them.
Or ask Alenia. She'll tell you as well.
Actually, I when you said that, I wrote it down earlier, and I'm like, I'm going to send her a message letting her know that if we could make some time to talk.
Definitely. I will lead you in the right direction. I would. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find somebody else.
And honestly, I'm glad that you were able to be on tonight, Alenia, because if this would have been a night that you wouldn't have been able to be on, I would have tried to get Miss Odessa to reschedule so that you could be here for her tonight.
I needed this.
Yeah.
I needed this.
Yeah.
Good. I hope to inspire people to just, nothing else. My story just tells you keep going.
Yeah.
No matter.
Uh-oh, she's losing again. Hold up, that's not us. We're moving, right?
There she is. That's right. She's moving.
You have to say that again because you froze a little bit. Say that last part again.
Just keep going. Don't quit. I didn't know that Water would become a movie, and I always say, other than marrying my husband and the birth of our children, that was like the best night of my life, and I'll never forget it. And Antoine, again, I can't underestimate or understate the role you guys played. Because you interviewed Victoria Rao the night before the thing. So, and Billy, the crazy thing, Billy is here this week. She's been here for about a week. The girl that played Tanya. She is in a play called Jump at Everyman.
Really?
Yep. I'm going to go see it. Am I going Wednesday? Yeah, I'm going Wednesday. Yeah. Yeah.
As in tomorrow? You're going tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow Wednesday.
No, tomorrow's not Wednesday.
Oh, it's Monday night. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going Wednesday. I'm going Wednesday night.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm gonna do a shameless thing right here. If you can put us in contact when you get a chance to see her on Wednesday, I would love to talk to her.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Okay. So I cut you off because I went into something else, but other than the website, which we have posted here, let everyone else know how they can contact you, please.
That's the best way. That's the best way. Just go there and everything will take you anywhere.
Yep.
Okay. That's what's up.
Go to the website, yo.
Go to the website. Go to the website. Brown, Alicia Brown says she's going as well. I'm assuming she's talking about the play.
That don't count. That's my mama. She don't count. She don't count.
I didn't know that was your mom sitting up here commenting all this time. Hey, Mom, how are you?
I love it.
Thank you for tuning in. I did not know that was your mom.
That's my mama.
Hey, Mama. Hey, Mama.
Always support.
Thank you for sharing her with us, Mama. Absolutely.
That was cute.
I did not know that was her mom all this time. All right, Miss Odessa, thank you so much, man. This has been fun, as I knew it would be. You're always invited. Like, all you have to do is just hit me up and say, hey, when can I? And we'll make it happen. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
All right. Let me know what you want to do with Billy later.
Okay.
All right.
Will do. Got you. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you, Alina.
Thank you, Miss Odessa. Thank you.
Have a good one. Miss Odessa Rose, y'all.
Yes.
I knew she was going to be fun, man. I love Miss Odessa. She's the same time every time you see her, no matter where you are, whether it's on a show, whether you see her, out in public somewhere, she's always the same. So great talking to her as always. Yeah. And I knew she was going to come up and do a great job and gave great information. Like, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, if I was to write a book, like, I would have to literally sit with her, a couple of days a week almost just to try to pick her brain.
She's gonna tell you to write.
Yes. Not only that, I'm just talking more or less like the business side of, making sure that I had all of my, T's crossed and I's dotted when it's time to try to get it out there. Cause I can imagine, like, I'm just sitting there listening to her talk about some of the stuff, that she had to go through. And I'm like, man, would I really want to? It almost kind of reminds me of, like a music artist and what they have to go through dealing with record labels,
Oh yeah.
And you want to go and put, your song out, and, they kind of, don't want to release it because it's, not a certain way. And, I like having control. I like having creative control when I'm giving my stuff out to people. I don't like people just kind of nitpicking, because they nitpick too much. It kind of takes away from what you, the creator, the author, the message that you're trying to, get out there. Right. I don't want that. So
right. And that's why I chose to do it independently first, get that feedback. And I got such good feedback that I'm able to just go ahead and do the second edition to really put the meat and potatoes into what I wrote the first time. And I tell anyone, make sure you set yourself up where you can get honest feedback, and don't think it's it. You can't do anything else with the material that you have. That was the one thing that I am encouraged by kind of researching and watching other people. And that's the reason why I chose to do a second edition to my first book, where, changing the cover, changing a lot of things because of the honest feedback that I got. So.
And most importantly, be receptive of the feedback.
Yes.
Please be receptive.
Right. Don't get an attitude.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, don't ask me if you don't want me to be honest, because I'm gonna be honest, but I'm being honest because I want, whatever it is that you're asking me to read, whatever it is that you're asking me to listen to, I want it to be the best. So if you ask me, and if you ask me, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. So
right. Exactly.
And you have to be receptive. So
have to be receptive, or you will never get feedback from people again. But not all the feedback that you receive you'll need, because sometimes that person isn't your customer or the reader that you're really trying to get. However, you can glean something from what they say.
Yeah. And it's up to the person that you ask that feedback to be honest enough to say, maybe this isn't for me. Because I do that with music all the time. When people ask me, I'm like, I can't give you an honest critique or an honest opinion about the music, because this isn't something that I would ride to in my car. I wouldn't listen to it. So I've had that, situation a couple of times with more younger, artists in the game that, listen to stuff or create music that I would, I'm 53 years old. I don't want to listen to, certain things. So to come and ask me, probably wouldn't be the best thing, but it is what it is.
This was good.
This was great. This was great. Thanks to everybody that tuned in, man. We'll be back next week. We also have another acapellas and acoustics. We started back last Friday.
Okay.
Had a great reception, so we'll have another one on deck this Friday. Make sure you continue to follow us on all of our social media. Access Granted, the pod stream, Access Granted AG, YouTube, such and such and such and such. We're kind of everywhere now. And the one thing that I'm starting to notice now is that when I Google the show is starting to pop up instead of the thousands of other Access Granted, names that are out there. So I think people are looking for us enough that we're becoming a little bit relevant now. So
wonderful.
We're kind of coming up higher in the Google search is basically
2023. You just upped it.
Trying to be like you. I keep telling you, trying to be like you when I grow up. But appreciate you, sis. Next week, I know we have a hip hop artist. His name is City Winds. I want to say he's out of Chicago, but I'm not sure, so don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But an amazing young artist that I'm looking forward to chopping it up with. And happy Valentine's Day to you and the hubby. Y'all make sure y'all, have fun and all of that kind of stuff. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Including people that are single.
Self-love day.
Self-love day.
Self-love day.
Hashtag self-love day. All right, man. We are out of here. We will see you guys next week. This is Access Granted. You are so funny. The maracas, one more time as we're going up. No, the maracas as we're going up. Bingo. We'll see you guys next week.
Good night.
I'm gonna have to get me a pair now. I'm gonna have to go get me a pair.